Have you ever woken up from a full, like, 8-hour night of sleep and you just feel, well, older?
Absolutely, all the time.
Right. I mean, you drag yourself out of bed, your face looks puffy, your joints ache, your brain is totally foggy, and honestly, you just feel significantly worse than when your head hit the pillow the night before.
Yeah, which is completely backwards.
Exactly. You're supposed to be recharged. That is the entire point of sleeping. But instead, you feel like you just, I don't know, lost a physical fight you didn't even know you were participating in.
It is a universally frustrating experience.
Mm.
And, for most of us, the instinct is to immediately internalize the blame.
Right, like what did I do wrong?
Precisely. We treat sleep like a very simple equation. Like we treat our bodies like a smartphone. Time plugged into the mattress equals energy out.
Yeah.
But when we wake up depleted, we start auditing our own behavior. We assume, oh, we looked at our screens too late, or we had too much stress at work, or maybe we eat something salty before bed.
Oh, definitely. The late-night salty snacks are my go-to excuse.
Right. But we rarely question the environment we are actually sleeping inside of.
But what if it genuinely isn't your fault? What if something invisible in your bedroom is actively, like, aggressively undoing all the biological repair work that sleep is supposed to accomplish?
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are taking a deep dive into a profoundly radical piece of writing dated exactly today, June 20, 2026. It's titled Master Insight, #001 Scene by Fuchi Wu.
It's a fascinating document.
It really is, and the mission of our deep dive today is to explore an intervention from this text called Heavenly Non-Toxic Beauty Sleep.
Yeah, and it was a remarkable document because it completely reframes our foundational understanding of human longevity.
How so?
Well, when we typically discuss anti-aging or life extension, the conversation revolves entirely around addition, right?
Like taking new supplements or adopting restrictive diets.
Exactly. Trying out the latest cold plunge therapy. We're always trying to add years to the clock. But this text flips that paradigm entirely.
So it's not about adding years. No, the focus isn't on adding years. It's about stopping the environment from actively stealing the biological years you already possess.
Wow. And to really grasp the technological solution proposed later in the document, we first have to wrap our heads around its terrifying core premise.
Which is pretty heavy.
It is. The idea is that we don't just naturally age in the passive way we usually assume. Barring accidents or genetic anomalies or, starvation, we are essentially slowly being poisoned to death by our daily environment.
It sounds incredibly alarmist at first glance.
It really does sound like a sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah, but when you break down the biological mechanics, the reality is difficult to ignore. The environment isn't neutral. We are constantly navigating 4 distinct categories of toxins.
Okay, let's go through those.
First, and arguably most invasive, are airborne toxins. We are talking about PM 0.1, which is ultrafine particulate matter, and volatile organic compounds, or VOCs.
I want to pause on that for a second because if you're listening to this in your living room or your car, you are breathing this in right now. VOCs are the gases off-gassing from everyday materials, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's that quote-unquote new car smell, or the fumes from fresh paint, or the chemicals literally evaporating off your new carpet.
Yeah.
And because they are airborne, they bypass all your body's digestive filters.
That's the scary
They
part.
travel right down your trachea, into your lungs, and absorb directly into your bloodstream.
And that direct route to the blood is what makes them so devastating. Then you have the second source, which is food and water toxins.
Like heavy metals and stuff.
Yeah, the heavy metals, the microplastics, the agricultural pesticides. When you ingest these, they place a massive continuous metabolic burden on your liver and your kidneys.
Because your organs are just constantly fighting them off.
Right, it forces those organs to constantly try to package and excrete waste instead of performing their other vital functions.
Which makes me look at my morning routine completely differently, honestly. Especially when we add the third category, which is dermal or skin absorption.
Oh, this one is huge.
We always think of our skin as this waterproof suit of armor, but it's really a highly porous membrane. The preservatives in your shampoo, the chemical UV filters in your sunscreen, the plasticizers in your lotions, they seep right through your pores into the capillaries below.
It's all going straight in.
Yeah. And finally, the fourth source is drugs and modern chemicals. This includes the secondary leftover metabolic byproducts from prescription medications that your body just struggles to clear out.
And the mechanism of action across all 4 of these categories is what dictates how we supposedly age.
How does that work exactly?
Well, these toxins don't just passively pass through our systems. They enter the blood, they circulate, and because the body can't process them fast enough, they begin to deposit into our organs and our cellular tissues.
They just get stuck there.
Exactly. Over the course of years, that toxic concentration steadily rises until a specific organ hits what we can call a saturation point.
So it's basically bioaccumulation. It's not like wear and tear. It's a gradual filling up of the garbage can until it literally spills over.
Precisely. Once an organ hits that saturation point, the tissue can no longer function, and the organ begins to fail.
Wow.
The functional decline that we politely label as aging, the stiff joints, the declining kidney function, the brain fog, is really just the warning siren of toxic saturation.
The document uses a really striking analogy here about an ant, right?
Yes, think of an ant. A common ant might have a biological, genetic lifespan of 5 days. If you spray that ant with a chemical pesticide on day 2, it dies instantly.
Right. It didn't quote-unquote die of old age. It didn't reach the end of its biological runway.
No, its life was artificially terminated early by environmental toxicity. The argument presented here is that humans are living the exact same existence as that ant, just on a much longer, multi-decade timeline.
That is so wild. So to synthesize this for you listening, our bodies aren't naturally wearing down over time like an old pair of sneakers. We are actively being corroded by an invisible acid in our daily environment. We are under active attack.
We really are. And how the human body attempts to fight back against this active attack is incredible.
Right, because we aren't completely defenseless.
No, not at all. The text spends significant time validating a concept that popular culture usually dismisses as a fairy tale or, a marketing gimmick: beauty sleep.
I was completely fascinated by this. Taking a phrase you usually see on the cover of a fashion magazine and rooting it in hard neurology.
The reality is, beauty sleep is a highly complex, literal, biological mechanism.
Yeah, like when we fall into deep sleep, the body throws a massive physiological switch. We transition out of the sympathetic nervous system, which is our daytime survival mode.
Where our heart rate is up and blood is prioritized to our muscles for action.
Exactly. And we shift over to the parasympathetic nervous system. That is our repair mode.
And the sheer volume of microscopic repair work happening in that parasympathetic state is absolutely staggering.
Tell me about it. What's actually happening in there?
Well, when you hit deep sleep, you get massive, concentrated surges of growth hormone and melatonin. The body actively initiates DNA repair sequences.
That sounds intense.
It is. It triggers the renewal of collagen and elastin fibers, which are the structural proteins that keep skin firm. Hence the term beauty sleep.
Ah, that makes sense.
It also repairs the vascular endothelium, which is the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels. The liver goes into absolute overdrive to detoxify the blood, and the brain actually shrinks slightly so spinal fluid can wash away accumulated metabolic waste.
It is a full-blown, full-body construction site. But here's the critical problem, and this loops us right back to those 4 sources of poison. The reality of modern life fundamentally breaks this repair system.
It totally overwhelms it.
Right. All those airborne particles, the heavy metals, the VOCs we absorb all day long, when they enter our cells, they create massive amounts of free radicals.
And for anyone who needs a quick refresher on the chemistry there, a free radical is essentially an unstable molecule that is missing an electron.
So it's looking for a replacement.
Exactly. Because it is unstable, it violently rips electrons away from healthy tissue, like your newly forming collagen or your cellular DNA, just to stabilize itself. This process causes widespread oxidative stress and chronic inflammation.
To make this super tangible, imagine your body is a house. During the day, you have 10 vandals running through the halls, constantly smashing the windows, kicking holes in the drywall, and ripping up the floorboards.
Terrible situation to be in.
Awful. And at night, when you go to sleep, you only have 5 construction workers trying to fix all that damage. No matter how hard those 5 workers try, the repair team can never, ever catch up with the daily destruction.
What's fascinating here is how the cellular battle maps directly onto the visible world.
Like when you look in the mirror.
Yes. When you wake up and look in the mirror and you see facial bloating, dull and gray skin, or dark, tired eyes, that is not an illusion or just a sign that you need coffee.
Right. It's not just a bad lighting day.
No, it is the visible, physical evidence that your 5 nocturnal workers lost the microscopic battle against the 10 vandals of environmental toxicity, specifically the aerosols and VOCs in your bedroom air.
Man, that is bleak. So if we are trapped in this house, how do we fire the 10 vandals? We obviously can't stop breathing.
And most of us can't afford to move to a pristine mountaintop far away from the modern world.
Right. So what is the actual intervention? This brings us to the extreme technological solution introduced in the text. It's a concept called HeavenAir Plus, and the device built to create it, the Air 80 Maze Purifier.
The text also refers to it as the scapegoat black box, but for the sake of conversation, let's just call it the Tox box.
Tox box it is.
The stated engineering goal of the Tox box is to generate what the author calls super heaven air quality.
Super heaven air quality. That's a bold claim.
It really is.
Yeah.
And there is a very playful but profound philosophical point made here. If a literal biological heaven actually existed somewhere in the universe, as long as there was life in it, there would naturally be some trace bacteria, spores, or biological aerosols floating in the air.
Because life is messy.
Exactly. But the Tox box is designed to produce air with absolute zero. It aims to manufacture an environment purer than a theoretical biological paradise.
Wow. It establishes this wildly ambitious baseline called the 8 zeros. So that's dust-free, germ-free, toxin-free, smoke-free, odor-free, heavy metal-free, microplastic-free, and aerosol-free.
Right, it covers everything.
It even claims the ability to completely destroy particulate matter down to PM 0.1 and even below. But here's where it gets really interesting and where I found myself pushing back on the document a little bit.
Oh, in what way?
Well, I kept wondering, how is this actually any different from the standard HEPA filter that you or I probably have buzzing in the corner of our home office right now? Because HEPA filters catch dust and pet dander and pollen.
Right. It's a completely natural question, but the distinction is vital. Traditional filtration systems, like HEPA, are entirely passive.
Passive? How so?
They operate exactly like a microscopic fishing net. They catch particles based purely on physical size. If a piece of dust is larger than the holes in the net, it gets caught.
Okay, makes sense.
But volatile organic compounds, the toxic gases off-gassing from your furniture, are molecular. They are so small they slip right through the net.
Ah, I see.
Furthermore, a passive net just holds the toxins in place, doesn't neutralize them. The Tox box is fundamentally different. It is an active, molecular-level gauntlet.
A molecular gauntlet.
Yes, it doesn't just catch pollutants, it fundamentally alters their physical and chemical structure.
Okay, I want to vividly picture this. To really understand the difference between a net and a gauntlet, we need to go deep inside the Tox box. The text breaks this down into a 5-step engineering marvel. Let's walk through what actually happens to a breath of air when it gets sucked into this machine.
The first 2 steps are all about electrical preparation. As the contaminated air enters the machine, it passes through intense double ionization zones.
Okay, ionization.
Right. This serves 2 critical purposes. First, the high-voltage electrical field immediately neutralizes airborne pathogens like bacteria and viruses.
Just zaps them.
Exactly. Second, and this is crucial for the physics of the next step, the ionizer blasts every single incoming particle, every speck of dust, every microscopic heavy metal aerosol with an overwhelming amount of negative electricity.
So it's basically charging the dirt.
Yes, it forces a negative electrical charge onto the pollutants themselves.
And that sets the stage for the core mechanism, steps 3 and 4, which is the electrostatic dust collection maze. I had to read this section twice because the physics are brilliant.
It's very clever engineering.
It utilizes a principle called multiple forced impaction. When the negatively charged air enters this internal maze, it isn't just floating through a tube, it is forced to navigate through more than 60 incredibly sharp turns and narrow holes at exceptionally high speeds.
And remember the electrical preparation. Those particles are carrying a negative charge. But the walls of this 60-turn maze, the electrode plates, are heavily positively charged.
Oh man, so as the high-speed air whips around these hairpin corners, physics takes over.
It absolutely does.
Right. If you think about the momentum involved, the larger particles, like heavy dust or microplastics, are completely dominated by their own inertia. They are moving way too fast to make a sharp 90-degree turn, so they physically crash headfirst into the positive walls.
Like a car taking a turn too fast on ice.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the ultrafine particles, the PM 0.1 that are small enough to potentially make the turn, are dominated by the electrostatic force. Because opposites attract, the negative particles are magnetically ripped out of the airstream and slammed into the positive walls.
Nowhere to hide.
Either way, through inertia or magnetism, they are violently impacted.
And the moment they hit the wall, a stunning physical transformation occurs, which the text refers to as electroplating.
Electroplating, like with jewelry.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Airborne aerosols aren't just dry rocks. They're usually microscopic droplets of moisture that carry the dissolved toxins.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and when they crash into the electrode plates, the sheer velocity of the wind inside the maze instantly evaporates the water. The residual toxic core that is left behind is practically electroplated, permanently and physically bonded onto the positive metal plates.
That is wild. But sticking poison to a wall still isn't destroying it. And this is where the machine crosses the line from being an advanced filter into being a chemical destroyer, right?
Yes, exactly. The ToxBox initiates an actual electrochemical reaction right there on the surface of the plate.
And it accomplishes this without generating any dangerous sparks or secondary ozone, which I know is a really common flaw in older electrostatic purifiers.
That used to be a huge problem. But through the intense combination of the high electric field and rapid electron exchange, it initiates molecular-level oxidation.
Okay, break that down for me.
Let's take formaldehyde as an example. It's an incredibly common and dangerous indoor VOC. Formaldehyde is composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Okay.
When it hits the charged plate, the silent electrochemical reaction literally strips the electrons, breaking the molecular bonds holding the poison together.
Just tears the molecule apart.
Yes, it forces the atoms to rearrange, converting the highly toxic formaldehyde into trace amounts of completely harmless carbon dioxide and water vapor.
It is essentially performing microscopic alchemy. It takes invisible poison out of the air, shatters its chemical structure, and turns it into water and breathing gas.
It really is. This raises an important question, though.
What's that?
Well, if we think about the sheer volume of toxic air in a modern home, a machine performing this much heavy lifting should theoretically clog itself up and die in a matter of days.
Oh yeah, if it's catching literally everything.
Right. If it is permanently bonding all this toxic sludge to its own internal walls, how does it keep running?
That exact logistical nightmare brings us to step 5, which the text calls progressive saturation, long life adsorption.
Such a technical mouthful.
Right. But the concept is cool. Instead of the entire maze getting dirty at once and failing, the system works like a highly coordinated relay race.
Okay, relay race.
Yeah, the very front section of the maze acts as a sacrificial shield. It takes the absolute brunt of the incoming impact. Once that front section is completely saturated with electroplated toxins, it loses its charge, and the very next section of the maze automatically takes over the primary workload.
Ah, so it just moves down the line.
Yes, exactly. The machine continually passes the baton deeper and deeper into the 60-turn maze. This progressive saturation vastly extends the operational life of the device, ensuring there is zero drop in the purity of the air coming out the other side.
And that output is the HeavenAir plus we defined earlier, air that is 100% free of biological and chemical contamination.
So clean, it's better than nature.
But the author makes a very sobering point here. Having one magical box sitting in your bedroom isn't going to solve the longevity equation if you spend the remaining 16 hours of your day walking around breathing in poison.
Exactly. If you sleep in a purified fortress but you commute to work through a toxic swamp, those 10 vandals are still getting inside the house to smash the drywall.
They're just doing it during your lunch break.
Yeah. So the text scales this technology up from a single bedroom device into a total comprehensive lifestyle ecosystem.
The vision outlined here is an interlocking suite of products designed to maintain a continuous, unbroken barrier against environmental toxicity anywhere a human being might go.
A completely sealed lifestyle.
Yes. You start with the personal or living room heaven for the core spaces where you relax. You have mobile heaven units designed to heavily protect you during your daily commute or when you are forced to travel through high-pollution urban environments.
And there are two highly specific pieces of this broader ecosystem that I found completely fascinating. The first is the building scapegoat black box.
Oh, this part is brilliant.
The text brings up this horrifying dystopian concept of shared toxins in modern office buildings. If you're listening right now and you work in a sealed, climate-controlled office tower, think about this. Without massive active purification, the human beings sitting in the cubicles are acting as the building's organic air filters.
It is so grim to think about.
It really is. Your lungs are trapping the heavy metals and the off-gassing carpet glues, effectively cleaning the air for the HVAC system at the cost of your own cellular health. The building-level black box is designed to take that toxic burden off the bodies of the workforce.
It is a profoundly dark yet chemically accurate way to view modern commercial architecture. We build sealed boxes and then force human lungs to manage the toxic load.
Yeah.
The other piece of the ecosystem that requires close attention is the SleepThe device. What is genuinely remarkable about this specific unit is that the text explicitly states it has absolutely no air filtration function built into it.
Wait, hold on. I want to make sure I understand this. A critical device inside a pure air ecosystem that doesn't actually filter the air. Why wouldn't it?
Because Its sole engineering purpose is to solve the paradox of the sealed room.
The paradox of the sealed room.
Right. To keep the bad air out of your bedroom, you obviously have to close your doors and windows completely tight. But if you seal a room to keep the toxins out, you inevitably trap your own exhaled carbon dioxide inside.
Oh, right. You're just breathing the same air over and over.
Exactly. You run out of fresh oxygen, which is why people often wake up with headaches in stuffy rooms. The SleepHeaven device is engineered to safely and quietly pull fresh outside air into the sealed room without letting in street noise, mosquitoes, or rain.
Oh, so it works as a team.
Yes, it operates in perfect tandem with the ToxBox. The SleepHeaven provides the raw oxygen supply, and the ToxBox acts as the gauntlet that strips the poison out of that incoming air.
So what does this all mean for you, the person listening right now? What are the actual tangible side effects of living your life inside this meticulously engineered ecosystem? Because the text is very adamant about one thing. The ToxBox does not add any magical healing elixirs or synthetic vitamins to the air.
It only removes the bad.
Right.
And the side effects described are simply the natural biological result of the human body finally being allowed to do its job without interference.
It's just doing what it was made to do.
Exactly. The text lists the outcomes very clearly. Your visible facial aging slows down drastically because collagen is actually repairing. You fall asleep significantly faster and achieve much deeper REM and slow-wave sleep.
That sounds amazing.
You wake up with boundless physical energy, your complexion clears up, and you even find yourself physically walking faster throughout your day. Your overall sickness and infection rates plummet.
It all circles perfectly back to our 10 vandals and 5 workers analogy. If this ecosystem successfully fires the 10 vandals at the perimeter, then your 5 internal workers, your body's natural, nightly parasympathetic repair mechanisms, finally have the upper hand.
For the first time ever.
Right. They aren't just desperately patching up today's toxic damage, they actually have the time and resources to renovate the house.
Ultimately, the core argument of this document is that true longevity isn't about agonizing over eating the absolute perfect diet or obsessing over biohacking your way to 120 years old.
It's much simpler than that.
It really is. It is simply an issue of cellular mathematics. It is about actively ensuring that your daily biological repair output permanently outpaces your daily environmental damage intake.
So repair is greater than damage.
Exactly. When you successfully manipulate that math, longevity isn't some grueling uphill battle you fight for. It becomes an effortless, natural byproduct of simply existing in a clean environment.
It is an incredible reframing of how we live. I mean, we started this deep dive by looking at that heavy, awful feeling of waking up tired and inflamed, and we discovered it might actually be the result of a daily invisible war against environmental poison.
An absolute war zone.
We explored the deep neurological biology of beauty sleep, where our body desperately shifts into parasympathetic repair mode to clear out the waste, and we unpacked the wild 60-turn microscopic gauntlet of the ToxBox, using inertia and molecular alchemy to violently strip those poisons from our living spaces.
It's an engineering marvel.
It really completely changes how you look at the empty air circulating between you and the walls of your room right now.
It certainly does. But, if we connect this incredible technological solution to the much bigger picture of human evolution, it leaves us with a really profound and perhaps slightly unsettling thought to mull over.
Oh.
Well, this text envisions a utopian world where we perfectly and permanently shield ourselves from our environment. We build this flawless, overlapping ecosystem of HeavenAir, plus to banish the 10 vandals so our internal organs never face toxic stress again.
It sounds ideal.
It does. But if you look at biology, organic systems almost always require some level of friction and stress to maintain their baseline strength.
Like lifting weights to build muscle.
Exactly. So if we spend our entire lives insulated inside a perfectly sterile, zero-toxin technological bubble, what happens to the human body's natural resilience?
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought of that.
Right? If our immune systems, our liver pathways, and our cellular defense mechanisms never have to work against adversity, are we truly prepared for the day we eventually, inevitably have to step outside of the bubble?
Wow. That is the perfect question to leave hanging in the freshly purified air. Next time you wake up feeling just a little bit older than you should, you might want to wonder if it's time to interrogate your environment, or if your internal workers just need a little more help fighting off the vandals. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, custom tailored just for you. Keep questioning your surroundings, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.